You're listening to DraftKings Network.
God bless football, Mikey A.
God bless football, Stugotz.
We have the biggest of football weekends upon us. We have college football. We have the NFL. The regular season is winding down. Ravens and Dolphins. You got two national semifinal games on Monday. What a great time for football. Lucy's going to join us to talk some college football. I'm very excited. No Billy today, but Mikey A and I figured, hey, we do a football show. It's a pretty big time of year for football.
A little bit.
We probably should give the great loyal audience of God Bless Football something on a monster football weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it's week 17 in the NFL. That used to be the end of it. Now we've got one more week afterwards. And honestly, there's a lot still up. There's a lot still up for grabs, including one seeds.
I know. It's crazy. How about the Browns over the Jets last night? 37-20. The Joe Flacco story continues. Joe Flacco was a quarterback that was on the Jets roster last year.
What was more surprising, the fact that the Jets put up 20 or the fact that Joe Flacco is like the first quarterback in like a year and a half to throw for 300 yards on the Jets?
I hate that.
It's a good question. It's a good question.
It is a good question. Listen, Mikey, I'm going to try to I've done this a number of times over the 20 years of doing the show with Dan, try to encapsulate what it is to be a Jet fan. Okay. Just hear me out for a second. Geno Smith used to be our quarterback many, many years ago. Geno Smith was our quarterback. Geno Smith was a top 10 quarterback in the NFL a season ago, got a monster contract. I think it was like 8 or 9 years after he left the Jets organization, okay? Recently, we got to watch Sam Darnold, another former Jets quarterback, okay? We got to watch him drive the Niners down the field against, who were they playing, the Eagles, Mike?
Yeah, no, the Ravens.
The Ravens, excuse me. Apologies. We got to watch Sam Darnold do that, okay? And Mikey A and I thought, because if you're a tortured Jet fan, you're thinking to yourself, okay? You are thinking Sam Darnold not only is going to bring the Niners back in that game, they're going to win that game, and Sam Darnold will replace Brock Purdy as the 49ers starting quarterback, and Sam Darnold will find himself in Canton 5 years after the day he retires. I mean, that's what Jet fans are conditioned to think, okay? And then last night, we got to see a guy in Joe Flacco who was on our bench the last couple of years, a guy we could have called right after Aaron Rodgers went down on the 4th play of the season, but we didn't because we have a 40-year-old with a torn Achilles who was running our organization because we are so desperate that we allow him to run our organization. And if you're a Jet fan, you are convinced right now, not only is Zach Wilson going to have a big season 5 years from now, but so is Tim Boyle. Woke my kids up.
Somebody in 5 years is going to be like, no, we're okay. We got Zach Wilson. We're good. We can come back from this. We have Zach Wilson.
It's going to be the Browns.
Could be.
It's so annoying. But listen, if you love sports and you love football, and here's the other thing that drives Jet fans crazy, Mike. It's the Browns doing this.
The Browns. It's not a good organization. Sorry, Browns fans, but it's not a good organization.
No, it's going to be interesting. Kevin Stefanski certainly deserves to be in that Coach of the Year conversation. After losing Deshaun Watson, they have a great defense. But to do this with Joe Flacco, it's really cool. Like, if you're a sports fan, you love these kind of stories, Mike.
Yeah, I think I'd like them better if they didn't play the Jets last night. I think I'd like him better if it wasn't Joe Flacco.
It's a good loss for the Jets. I mean,
sure.
Well, Mike, you don't want to win games at this point. I mean,
I was just going to ask you. So, do you want to win next week against the Patriots, or do you want to lose?
Oh, please lose. Are you kidding me? Do you think I care?
You wouldn't want to
Belichick one last time? I mean,
beat Belichick for the first time, probably. And not only that,
No, Mike, we're one of the few teams that have had some
game.
Mike, we're one of the few teams that have had some success against Belichick. We beat him in the playoffs. We beat him in Foxborough.
Not in like 15 straight.
I know, but we're Jet fans. Like, I mean, 1 out of 15 ain't bad for us.
Listen, if this is Bill Belichick's last game, I'd love to send him out with an L. I'd love to send him out. It's not his last game. It's only his last game as the Patriots coach. It's not his last. That's all that matters.
Oh, who cares? I mean, who cares? I mean, come on. All he's done is taken L's from Brady since Brady left New England. I mean, who cares?
Except from the Jets.
Tim Boyle, 2029 NFL MVP. Let's go to Lucy.
Lucy, are you the person that goes home and like puts the hat down and when you have to like go to the store because you don't want to see anybody, or are you somebody that's like, I'm home, let's see everybody?
It's a mix of both, and it's like truly, honestly, never for the right reasons. It's if I'm like, okay, I'll go out to see people, it's definitely so that I can be like, look at me now, look at me now.
How about that? How about that?
But my dad, like, I moved a little far. So my family moved when I was in college. Like, we're still in the same area, but we're probably like 30 minutes out. So I like usually don't leave the house very often, but if I do, it's definitely with the intention of being like, Look who left, look who got out.
Remember this?
I did.
I only come back for visits now, and I don't even have to. I just do because I'm nice.
All the time. And it never ends up being as rewarding as I want it to be. So I'm like, why do I keep doing this?
See, my wife moved us to her hometown where she grew up, but she won't go to the grocery store in the hometown because she doesn't want to see anybody. And I'm like, then why do we live here? Like, why did we pick this place if you don't want to see anybody you grew up with?
I feel it. I feel it a little though. I relate because like there are certain days where I'm like, I can't go outside. I can't let people know I'm here.
Absolutely. Yeah, but then you don't move there.
Yeah, don't move there. No.
Yeah.
Mikey, please tell me you're recording, and please tell me this will all be part of the episode. Please.
It can be.
Like,
it can be.
It's all me being like, hey, kids from high school, I'm great now.
Right.
The best.
Wait, but Lucy, aren't you
not.
Mikey? Like, how does your wife respond to that? Because you're living in a town, she knows everyone, she doesn't want to go to the grocery store, and she doesn't want to see anybody. So why are you living there?
I would, when you figure it out, you let me know.
I'm trying to figure my own marriage out.
Exactly.
Sorry. Hello, Lucy.
Hi.
Wait, before we talk some college football here with Lucy, Mikey A, can you read me the Jet stat you were reading to me during the break there? We're miserable today, Lucy. We're tired of watching former Jet quarterbacks go to other teams and have success elsewhere. Geno Smith, that didn't come out right. Holidays. Geno Smith, Sam Darnold. I mean, I'm convinced Tim Boyle is going to be the 2029 NFL MVP. It's a disaster. It's bad.
So the stat is pass touchdowns this season. The New York Jets have 10, and Joe Flacco has 10.
What are you laughing at, Lucy?
She even knows it's pathetic.
You should have watched the Pop-Tarts Bowl.
How was bowl season? You know, normally you see someone this time of year, you wish them happy holidays. When you see Lucy, you wish her happy bowl season. So how was your bowl season been?
It's been good. I feel like it's been like, I won't say it's the best bowl season we've ever had, but like decently competitive. We've had like the Pop-Tarts Bowl has really been the highlight so far, just in the terms of like bowl games are getting weirder and we're really starting to embrace it. I don't know if you guys saw how the Pop-Tart Aftermath, kind of freaky looking, but still a really enjoyable experience. They called out the Duke's Mayo Bowl by name. I went to the Duke's Mayo Bowl. That was disgusting, but also great at the same time. It's a very weird, happy bowl season, and we're about to get into like the really good stretch of games. So I'm very excited.
We should have college football bowls and minor league baseball join forces and just try and make everything as weird and fun as possible. Because I think we could do a lot with that.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I see where you're going now. Is Gojo, I think Gojo was a legend at the Mayo Bowl. Am I wrong?
Yeah.
No, he's very, very well respected
All right, so I think I saw you. You were on ESPN, were you not?
We were, yes.
Nice.
The sideline reporter was Harry Lyles, who is a friend of mine and a really good friend of Jess's. So I brought my brother and my dad to the game, but we only had 2 field passes, so we had to do like a prisoner swap after every quarter where they'd switch and one would go on the field and then one would go in the stands.
Right.
So Harry was like, well, we're going to do this hit. Do you guys like want to eat mayo in it? And my little brother was like, absolutely. Like he wanted to be on TV. So we ate mayo, French fries, and TV. And I'm not the biggest mayo fan in the world, but it wasn't bad.
Really?
I was nervous. I was way more nervous than I should have been for the moment, just because like I'm not anti-mayo, but it's not something I'm like reaching for all the time. But it was solid. It was like a decent dipping option.
Someone I know who is not anti-mayo is Mikey A. I'm not either, by the way. I love mayo. Like the more mayo, the better. What do you like? But I can't imagine dipping fries into mayonnaise. Can you, Mikey A?
Oh no, it's fine. Yeah,
No,
fries and mayo is fine. Listen, I draw the line at things like nachos. Like I saw somebody doing nachos with mayo, and I was like, no, that's not it for me.
Someone did like a Krispy Kreme donut with mayo. Pass.
Ugh.
That's
Pass.
Hard pass.
Yeah.
I'm getting a text from Chris Cody right now because he and his dad were supposed to join us on this episode, but for some reason he woke up at 4:15 this morning and he was filled with anxiety because he's got a ton to do today. So he said, I can't join you, but my dad can by himself later on in the day. And I'm like, it's 4:45 in the morning, dude. What is happening here? And so now he's still texting me because he feels the guilt, Lucy. That's why.
I got it like an influx of cameo requests over the
Same.
And I realized it was because someone even mentioned it in the request that they had got one from Chris Cody and he didn't do it. So they were like, alternate Lucy. I was like, great, thank you. Thanks for the money.
That's so great. Where are you headed this weekend? I'll get to Lucy or Goosey in just a second here. It's a big football weekend, NFL big games, college football, of course, has the national semifinals on Monday. So where are you headed to this weekend, though?
So I'm going to start off with the national championship game, Georgia, Florida State here in Miami. And then we're going to the Rose Bowl for Michigan, Alabama. And I'm very excited.
Oh, my God. That's so cool.
I love the Rose Bowl. I love it.
That is so cool. But you're going to like the national championship game before the college football playoff, right?
The only game that really matters, which is Georgia versus half a Florida State team. Half
All right. Are you ready for Lucy or Goosey? I have some questions for you.
Yes, I am. But I don't
Do you need anything? Do you need some time here?
Fast.
Okay. All right. Wow. Okay.
L. You can't see it that well, but just know it's L.
Okay.
We're not on TV.
Yeah, it's
so
okay.
You can just say it.
Matter at all.
Yeah, just say it. That's
so
a good point, Mike. There's no TV. You can just say it. You don't even need a card.
Great.
Throw everything away.
Would have loved that information a little earlier, but great.
I'm sorry. All right. Lucy or Goosey? Malik Murphy will have a greater impact on Duke than Riley Leonard will on Notre Dame.
Wow.
That's a good
one.
Wow.
Out of the gates.
I think I'm Lucy on that. Not as like anything against Riley Leonard, but when you're playing at a school like Notre Dame, there's naturally going to be more talent than there is at Duke. So, like an athlete like Malik Murphy can do a lot for a Duke football team. Not that Riley Leonard can't do that for Notre Dame, but I think his position means more at Duke than Riley Leonard does at Notre Dame.
Lucy, it's what I love about the transfer portal. When is Duke ever in play for the 5-star Texas quarterback?
Crazy.
Yes.
It's insane. And it's awesome. Like, good for Duke for spending money. We should all just be, as college football fans, grateful that the Ivy League doesn't care. Because if they did with NIL, no one would ever win ever.
Lucy or Goosey, Tennessee and Iowa will go under the 36-point total.
I'm Lucy on the under for sure. Tennessee's the thing with, so Joe Milton is sitting out to save his NFL draft prospects. I don't know who's going to tell him that they're not really there, but all right, that's fine. So they have their backup playing, who I believe was the #1 overall recruit. I don't think he's played very much. You're going up against one of the best defenses in the country. I don't care how highly rated of a recruit you are. You're going against Phil Parker defense. I don't think there will be a ton of points in this one.
Okay. Lucy or Goosey, since not being selected to the college football playoff, Florida State has lost its mind.
Yeah, Lucy for sure.
I mean, what are they doing?
They're trying to kill Kirk Herbstreit. It's crazy. I'm in the Florida State Facebook group. If you think Twitter's bad, oh my God, is the Facebook group a dark place to be? It is scary times out there.
Mikey, hey, it seemed like that's news to you that the Seminole fan base is indeed trying to murder Kirk Herbstreit.
They really are.
It's incredible.
Wait, like, what are they doing? What are they saying? What's happening, Lucy?
So basically, they have been like, we know whose fault this is. And it's not the playoff selection committee, although they did call that office so many times that they had to take their number down from the internet because it was too much. They believe it's ESPN and Kirk Herbstreit's fault. And Kirk Herbstreit has come out and said that Florida State was not the right choice to make the playoff, and he likes the playoff as it is. So they were like, that's you. You've done it. So they've been cyberbullying Kirk Herbstreit for like relentlessly for like weeks. And they're also cyberbullying ESPN because they blame ESPN for the whole thing, although they are locked into a crazy contract with ESPN. So it kind of benefits ESPN to have Florida State in there, but whatever. They are not well right now. They are not handling things.
They've lost their minds.
Yeah,
yes.
And then every opt-out just pushes them further and further into delusion.
It's unbelievable. If I'm Herbstreit, by the way, I sink into that. I'm like, yep, I am the reason. I have that much power. I am the reason. Florida State. I choose who plays in the college football playoff.
He's best of luck to him. I've seen his mentions just like briefly, and I'm like, oh my God.
Imagine being so mad to not have the opportunity to lose by 3 touchdowns to Michigan that you start calling for Kirk Herbstreit to die.
They're minus.
Did that to me when I said I didn't want us to lose to Michigan.
They're plus 20 against Georgia. It's not Herbie's fault. Florida State. Let's stay right there. Lucy or Goosey. Florida State saying it should be the national champion if they are the lone undefeated team. Lucy or Goosey. I like that, actually.
Look, if they beat Georgia with their third string quarterback, none of their best players, and Georgia hasn't really had that many opt-outs, then absolutely give them the title. That would be the most impressive win of the entire year. If half of that Florida State team can beat Georgia, we should just cancel the playoff if they win.
Wait, so if they go undefeated, they beat Georgia, and no one else is undefeated, and I'm including Liberty, okay? They lose to Oregon. You're telling me Florida State, we should throw a parade. Florida State should be recognized as the national champions this year.
Absolutely. And
I'm with you.
Retroactively take the Heisman away from Jaden Daniels and give it to Jordan Travis.
Right.
They should have to face the UCF team from a few years ago for the true national championship.
They should be able to publicly shame, like right in the middle of town in Tallahassee, which would be totally normal for them up there, okay? But to shame Kirk Herbstreit for an entire day. I mean,
have him stand there just in clown makeup the whole time.
The stocks with his arms and his head sticking out.
Just pelting him with eggs.
Rotten fruit.
Oh, that's so good.
Former Seminoles coming up. Wadsworth. Chris Winkie.
Lee Corso is just there leading the charge.
So great. I'm trying to think who else can participate. Dion. Danny Cannell, first in line. In line, Danny Cannell.
First in line.
So great. Lucy or Goosey, Liberty beating Oregon.
I'm Goosey on this one.
Yeah.
Liberty has played, I believe it's the worst strength of schedule in the entire country. That I think it's 133 out of 133. They haven't played anybody. They barely got past New Mexico State. Bo Nix is going to squeeze out every moment of eligibility he possibly can. So he's playing in this game. I think Oregon wins pretty big.
Okay. Let's get to the final 2 games here and we'll get you out of here, Lucy. And we appreciate the time. Alabama. So Monday, we fast forward to Monday here. The 2 semifinal games. Man, you can say what you want about the committee. They gave us the match. They gave me the matchups I wanted. Thank you, Kirk Herbstreit, for doing that. Let's start with Alabama and Michigan. Alabama beating Michigan. Lucy or Goosey?
I'm very Lucy on this one. The more I look into this game, the less I believe in Michigan.
Wow, Lucy, you have said a number of times on God Bless Football and our show, the main show, Dan Le Batard Show with Stu Gods, that you think Michigan is the most talented team in the country.
I think the most complete team in the country.
Okay.
I do not think the most talented team in the country. And I think that you can look back and you can distinctively look at a point. Penn State game for Michigan. Since that game, J.J. McCarthy and Michigan's offense has not been the same. They are not moving the ball the way they once were. He's throwing the ball 8 times a game. Like, they have lost a complete aspect of their entire offense. And I sat and I watched every stupid, miserable moment of that Iowa-Michigan Big Ten championship game. And I know I'm biased, but the whole time I was like, if Iowa had half an offense, they would win this game. Michigan needed short fields to score on Iowa, and Iowa's offense was just like, we're going to give you the ball 450 times because that's what we're good at. They are not the team that they once were. JJ has to play better. He has to have like the game of their life. And if you look at Michigan's entire schedule this year, they have yet to face a quarterback even remotely as good as Jalen Milroe. Like, when it comes to talent, there is no one that Michigan is facing. There's no offense that Michigan has faced all year that even eclipses where Bama is.
Interesting. Yeah, I think Alabama's going to win the game. Lucy or Goosey, Jim Harbaugh was adorable posing next to Mickey Mouse.
That was so cute. Them together, Nick Saban and Mickey Mouse, they were so cute. I loved it.
That Saban was Saban. It was so perfect. It was so
I want to print it out and hang it up in my apartment.
My wife was like, wow, they're so cute. It's so cute.
So cute.
All right, last game for you. Lucy or Goosey, Texas beating Washington.
This game is the one I'm more 50-50 on. I think I'm going to go Goosey only for like the purpose of vibes, because I have sat here and just been like, I don't believe in Washington this whole season. Every single time Washington has proven me wrong. They are just like, they're so relentless. Michael Penix Jr. is going to need to play better the last few weeks of the season. He was really good against Oregon, but Washington State, Arizona State, those all were games where he was just like kind of messing around, not maybe, doing what he needed to do. Texas's defense is very improved, but Washington's offense is so good. It's going to be such a fun shootout game. I'm more 50-50 on this, but for right now, I'm leaning towards Washington.
All right. I'm just hoping that one of the undefeateds wins so we don't have to hear from Florida State anymore.
I'm really not worried about Florida State right now.
I'm worried about Herb Street.
I'm worried about him very much. I'm very worried about him.
All right. And you'll be at the Orange Bowl tomorrow, right? Capital One?
Woo.
It's a big game, Lucy. Rare is there a game outside of the playoff that has such, a lot of people will be tuning into that game to see if they can pull it off,
Poor Florida State. Oh my God. They're going to walk out there they don't have anybody. Everyone stopped it out.
All right. So, and it sounds like you're telling me I should take Georgia.
You should absolutely take Georgia. Florida State's quarterback entered the portal like 3 days ago.
If you are picking bowl games, you are making a big mistake. And unfortunately for our audience, I've picked everyone. So
I got it when it was like Georgia, like -14. I was like, yeah, hammering that.
Oh my God. Okay. We need to start talking more, Lucy. I'm sorry. Okay.
No, Chris Cody texts me every Saturday and I was like, give me your picks.
Does he really? Well, he texts me every Saturday just at 4:30 in the morning to tell me that he and his dad aren't coming on today.
I'll start putting you two in a group chat and sending my picks. I killed it this year.
Oh, all right. Next year. Okay. Me and you. Get rid of Cody. Just me and you. Okay.
All right. Well, bye, guys. Thank you all.
All right. Enjoy the weekend. We'll see you next week, Lucy. Have fun. It is time for this week's edition of Stu Ya Gats, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today. Use code Stu for a special offer when you sign up. That's code Stu only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Bowl season continues. It never ends. 5-12-1 last week. Not good. 11-14-1 for the bowl season. 82-69-6 on the season. Pretty damn good, with the exception of bowl season. Why am I picking every bowl game? I have no idea who's showing up to these games, who's taking them seriously, and yet I thunder forward. We left off at the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. Penn State -4.5. They're taking on Ole Miss. Buy it down to 4. I'm taking Penn State. Why? James Franklin. He doesn't win big games, but he wins games like this. Games that aren't big. Games that have no consequences. Games that have no meaning. That's where he thrives. I'm taking James Franklin and Penn State -4 over Lane Kiffin. And then, boys, Penn State wins by 10 points. The Trans-Perfect Music City Bowl. Auburn -6.5, taking on Maryland. Buy it down to 6, take Auburn. Auburn wins, they cover. They win by 10 points. The Capital One Orange Bowl. Wow, it's like the national championship game before the national championship semifinal. How about that? Amazing. FSU is +20. They're taking on Georgia. I was going to tell you to take Florida State, but we just spoke to Lucy, and now I'm going to tell you to take Georgia because no one on Florida State is showing up to the game. So Georgia, -20. They win by 35 points over Florida State. And finally, Tallahassee shuts the hell up. The Barstool Sports Arizona Bowl. Wyoming, -3.5, taking on Toledo. Buy it down to 3. Take Wyoming. They win, they cover. They win by 8 points. The Relia Quest Bowl. What? LSU -10. They're taking on Wisconsin. Buy it down to 9.5. Take LSU. They win. They cover LSU by 14 points over Wisconsin. The Verbo Fiesta Bowl. Liberty +17. Taking on Oregon. I'm going to take Liberty. Oregon wins the game. Liberty keeps it close. Oregon by 10. Liberty covers. The Cheez-It Citrus Bowl. Those two things should not go together. Citrus and Cheez-It. How did that happen? Anyway, it did. It is Tennessee -6. They're taking on Iowa. I'm taking the under here because Lucy told me to. I'm taking Tennessee. They win the game 10-0. The Rose Bowl. College football semifinals. Alabama +1.5. Taking on Michigan. Buy it up to 2. In the event Michigan wins by 1. I'm taking Alabama to win the game outright. Alabama, the Crimson Tide, over the Wolverines by 7 points. They move on to the national championship game. And then Texas and Washington. Texas is -4. I am taking Texas here. We'll get the rematch we all want. Bama and Texas. I cannot wait for it. Texas beats Washington. Close game. Texas wins. They cover. They win by 7 points. Let's go to the NFL. Week 17, 6-5 a week ago. 62-57-1 on the season. Let's get to the games. I got a lot of them. Lions +5.5. They're taking on the Cowboys. Saturday night game. Great game. Buy it up to 6. I'm taking the Lions. Dallas win. Lions cover. Dallas by 3 points over Detroit. The Dolphins +3.5. Game of the weekend. Game of the year. They're at Baltimore taking on the Ravens. Ravens coming off a big victory over the Niners. Ravens. Buy it up to 4 points. I have the Dolphins winning the game outright. I do. Dolphins win. They cover the spread. They win by 7 points at Baltimore. Buffalo -13 at home taking on the Patriots. Buffalo needs to win. Buffalo needs to win out, and they will do so. They will continue that by beating the Patriots this week at Buffalo by 17 points at home over the Patriots. The Rams -5.5 at the Giants. Rams, sneaky good team, scary team, a team no one wants to see the playoffs. The Rams win. They cover the Rams by 10 points over the Giants on the road. The Bucs, Baker Mayfield, great story, -2.5. Taking on the Saints. They're at home. Bucs are sneaky good. Baker, gamer. Bucs by 7 points over the Saints at home. Raiders, I like Aiden O'Connell. I do. He's my kind of guy. +3.5. I don't know what that means. I'm just telling you, I like a good Aiden O'Connell. +3.5 at the Colts. Buy it up to 4. The Raiders win the game. The Raiders win. They cover. The Raiders by 3 points on the road. Jags, I can't believe I'm doing this. -6, taking on the Panthers. That's why I'm doing it. Buy it down to 5.5. The Jags win. They cover. They have to have it. The Jags by 10 points at home. The Texans. Is CJ playing? In fact, this bet only counts if CJ plays. If he doesn't, I want nothing to do with that. Okay? The Texans -4, taking on the Titans. If CJ plays, the Texans win and cover. They win by 10 points over the Titans. Chiefs. Can't believe I'm doing this. -6.5. They're taking on the Bengals. They're at home. Eventually, they have to get it right. They're the Kansas City Chiefs. And there's no Joe Burrow. It's this weekend. Buy it down to 6. The Chiefs win. They cover. They win by 14 points at home. Packers +1 at the Vikings. I have no idea who the Vikings quarterback is. I'm not even certain their coach has any idea who their quarterback is. I am taking the Packers here. They need it. They'll get it. +1 at Minnesota. The Packers win the game outright. They win by 4 points. They cover the spread. Those are the picks, everyone. Happy New Year and good luck. Why did I pick every bowl game?
Because you're you. There's just no other way to do it.
They asked me and Dad to pick every bowl game for VSiN the day after they were released. I have never mailed in something quite like I mailed in that. The notion that
I was just about to tell our audience, take Florida State. Until Lucy came on right before you and informed us that Florida State, no one's showing up to the game.
No one's there. I mean, right. And that was why I laughed when they asked us to pick the games then, because at the beginning of bowl season, I'm like, you guys realize it's 2023. These teams are going to look night and day different by the time we get to that game.
Mikey A, did Gojo's dad tell us that if you're picking bowl games, you're insane, right?
Yeah, he said it's like picking preseason football games,
which we do. So
yes,
I mean,
DraftKings Network.
I don't go there. Do you, Mikey? You bet a preseason football game?
I have.
You've been known to dabble.
You know what it is? It's I don't bet much on baseball or things in the summer. So when those first preseason games come out, I get a little itchy, and I'm like, you know what? I'll throw a couple of bucks on this game. Sure.
Go, Joe.
Right. You're not going to play starting cash in there, but you want to get the backup some work.
Yeah.
You want to start to go through the motions again. It's preseason. You got to start to figure out how to flex all those muscles again.
Exactly. Find my props quickly.
Yeah.
You know, got to use the app. Got to see what works and what doesn't work.
Wait, you guys, we've stumbled upon a good idea here. You're saying it's basically a training camp for betting, right?
Yes.
Okay, let's do that.
Sports betting training camp. Head coach Stugatz.
Oh my God. I've never bet a preseason game. By the way, were we rolling there, Mikey? I have no idea because I wasn't.
Of course we're rolling. Of course we're rolling.
Good, because that was a great place to start. By the way, we are told, Lucy joined us a little bit earlier. She said, "You are the stuff of legend." How do you feel about this professionally? You are the stuff of legend at the Mayo Bowl. How about that? The Duke's Mayo Bowl.
You know what? Those are my people down there, man. That's one of the best bowl games. I consider it, of the non-CFP games, the Duke's Mayo Bowl is the national championship. So,
right.
You know, congratulations to everybody involved for winning, because that's one of the most important modern bowl games ever played. And I was pumped to see the crew this year add to the lore. Harry Lyles, my guy, dipping a French fry in the mayonnaise off the winning coach after the game. That is a tip of the cap to him. That's how you advance the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, you're stuff of legend because you famously dunked the Oreo in mayo and ate it and said it wasn't that bad. Where do you draw the line? Like, what's something I can offer you to dip in mayo and eat, and you'd be like, no?
It's a good question.
Probably it'd probably mostly be about me not liking the thing I'm dipping in it. Like, if you gave me like a strawberry or something, I'm not a big strawberry guy. So the idea of like even a strawberry in whipped cream or something like that, not super appealing to me. So I'd imagine the mayo would be even less so. Because even as I said that, I was like, well, fruit would be a good place to start, but I like bananas. I dip a banana in mayonnaise, and I wouldn't really think twice about it.
Right. But what doesn't make sense? Like a hot dog, I believe. Like, it just, no, that can't be good.
I think a hot dog makes perfect sense.
I would do that.
The savory ones to me feel so easy. Like during that game, Matt Berry, who I called games with back in 2020 during the pandemic, he balked at the notion of mayo nachos in that game. Dan Mullen, by the way, love coach. He dove right into that. That man was afraid of nothing covered in mayonnaise. But Matt Berry apparently drew the line there, despite later on putting like maple bourbon mayo on a donut and enjoying it. So to me, that's the sweet stuff's a little bit of a reach. The savory stuff, mayo on nachos, that seems pretty easy.
Yeah, but it seems gross. That's, you know.
I just feel like they go together, man. I was a little bit surprised by that one, but now there are very few places I draw the line. The more I went through that game, because the Oreos got the acclaim for us in that game, but we did donuts in that game. We did Uncrustables, the peanut butter and jelly pre-made sandwiches, and dipped them in there. And every time I came away, I was like, all these are kind of fine. Like I dipped pizza. I called the Duke's Mayonnaise game. They do a Duke's Mayo does a game at the beginning of the year. So they did North Carolina, South Carolina. North Carolina, by the way, I believe has become the first team to play in both the Duke's Mayo kickoff at the beginning of the season and the Duke's Mayo Bowl at the end of the season. So I don't know what you win for that other than the respect of your peers. But
you win Mike Golick Jr. telling you they're the first team to ever do it.
Congratulations to Matt Brown in North Carolina. I know the loss wasn't what you wanted, but you can still hold your heads high because you were two-time Mayo Bowl attendees in the same season. But I was dumping pizza and stuff in mayonnaise in that game because I called it on radio to start the year, and that tasted great too. So I'm wondering if maybe this has just been all wrong, and this game is part of reversing the narrative on mayonnaise.
I could put mayo on a burger. Hot dogs are reserved for spicy Gooden's mustard. I'm sorry, I don't want to hear anything else. I really don't. I just don't. Nothing. Okay, that's it. That's all that goes on it. That and the hot dog. What's the matter, Mike?
I put ketchup on hot dogs all the time.
Oh God, get out of here. I mean,
I might agree with you that mustard goes on hot dogs, but if you're telling me I can't even try the mayo on it, like that's being a little hard-headed.
I'm telling you, spicy Gouden's mustard on hot dogs, and that's it. Maybe a little sauerkraut. I'll put mayo on a burger with some ketchup. Okay, I'll do that. But that's it. Like for me, mayo is reserved for a chicken cutlet sandwich. That's it. Like and an extra. It better be falling off my sandwich, you know?
Man, so you've got to get Tommy DeVito on here then to discuss mayonnaise. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, Tommy should have taken the pizza money though, right? I mean,
and see, everyone else flinched at that, and I was like, you know what? We're dealing with a clock that's probably going to strike midnight pretty soon. Go out there and get it while you can, man.
Right. Tyrod Taylor is always a snap away. He's just sitting there, man.
Lurking. Like I said, Stugotz, that's a major put it on the poll right there. Tyrod Taylor is going to be lurking a snap away for like the next decade still. Because every backup quarterback in the NFL just re-upped this year. Like you got to go through a certification process every few years with a rash of injuries where you start like 4 or 5 games and they're terrible by the end, but you show enough in those first few games that everyone's like, all right, we can employ this guy to hold the clipboard for the next decade and you can go cash nearly $1 million a year for that.
Things started moving too quickly for Tommy. He forgot his roots, forgot where he was from. Stellato was trying to say, hey, Tommy, listen, you're not that good. You and I both know that. I'm your friend. This is going to end. It's going to end quickly. Take the 20 grand from the fucking pizza place. Before there are no other offers from any pizza places.
I was going to say, before the pizza places stop calling, usually you've got to call the pizza places. We've got pizza places calling us right now. We need to take advantage of that. So yeah, shout out to Sean for making that happen. But shout out, you mentioned the Duke's Mayo Bowl. Miller Yoho is the one that's kind of the mastermind behind all that down there. And I'd be remiss if I didn't give him the love he deserves. Him and the Charlotte Sports Foundation have turned that into an event. And now it's, Stugotz, it's a copycat league. Duke's Mayo raised the standard in 2021. They went out and got after it this year. But the Pop-Tart Bowl, Bowl saying, hey, competition is out here and ready to go. Did you see them rip that Pop-Tart to pieces last night?
I did. Yeah, it was great. I love Pop-Tarts. What's your favorite Pop-Tart? What's your go-to Pop-Tart?
My favorite, so my go-to and favorite are different. So go-to, I would say like the cinnamon sugar in there. I will say I got a nice care package from the folks at the Pop-Tart Bowl in the lead up to the game this year because I was basically thirst tweeting them.
Right, yeah.
And chocolate fudge, just like the double chocolate one.
So good, Mike.
Needs to have its day in court for a top 3 flavor.
Wow.
It's so good. It tastes like I'm eating a hot fudge sundae. It's so incredible.
Good. It's so good. But I imagine that would be in most people's top 3. What's the universal top 3 for Pop-Tarts?
I would say the universal top 3 somewhere in there's got to be the brown sugar cinnamon. Like that's one of the tried and true staple flavors. And then I would say, because last night, I believe in the Pop-Tart Bowl, the flavor of and for anyone that's unfamiliar, the Pop-Tart Bowl, their whole stick was they had an edible mascot. So after the game, the mascot went into a giant toaster, came out on the other side in edible form, and then Kansas State, the winning team, got to eat the mascot, presumably eat it alive. It was not cannibalism because it's not a person, it's a Pop-Tart, but it was close. And so I believe it was a strawberry Pop-Tart. So I would say strawberry is also on the medal stand. I think you got to have the brown sugar cinnamon, and I think you got to have strawberry in there. And then the third for me is kind of what everyone's flavor of the moment is. I generally skew wild berry because I love the color of it on the outside. It's beautiful. It's not that far removed from the strawberry flavor. But Stugotz, this is a man who can taste the different colors in Fruit Loops. Sometimes that outer facade really adds a lot to the flavor.
Yes, it does. Mikey, do you have any objections to what Golic just said?
Listen, I'm not going to object when Mike Golic gives me his top 3 Pop-Tarts. He said he didn't like strawberries, but still understood enough that they belong on the medal stand. That's respect. That's knowing the game. That's knowing your audience. I 100% agree.
I'm totally with you. I think I asked Mike Golic Jr., what is universal? No, I just cared about his. And if he says those are the top 3, then those are the top 3, God damn it.
I'm going to give you the definitive top 3. We're going to go brown sugar cinnamon number 1. We're going to go strawberry number 2. And then I'm putting chocolate fudge in at number 3 right now. That might be subject to change later on, but until further notice, that's what we're rocking with.
You have known me and Mikey A for a while now. We started this episode by lamenting Joe Flacco. I mean, he was the Jets quarterback a year ago. He was on our bench. Like, he could have been the guy that filled in for Aaron Rodgers after the fourth play of the season when he predictably went down. And so Mikey A, we're tired of watching former Jet quarterbacks have success elsewhere. Geno Smith, 18 years later, Sam Darnold, I was convinced he was going to beat the Ravens and bring the Niners back a couple of weeks ago. And now I have to endure and watch Joe Flacco, who has 10 touchdown passes in 3 or 4 games now. The Jets have 10 for the entire season, all quarterbacks. And I told Mikey A, I am convinced the 2029 NFL MVP is going to be Tim Boyle.
Tim Boyle, who, by the way, or no, it's Trevor Siemian, looks like a bootleg Manning. Like, just his face, he looks like one of them. But yeah, Tim Boyle, absolutely going to be up. You guys are the NFL's good luck Chuck. Like, you just need to bring them in for a little bit, and then their next one is going to be the one that puts a ring on it.
But Mike, even the Browns are benefiting from us. The Browns.
That we have found the tiers. Like, much like in the NBA, we're watching the Detroit Pistons descend into darkness. Right. We're seeing how low it really goes for the Jets. And when the Browns, who, by the way, in terms of their season, like, and what's happened with them, not all that dissimilar from the Jets, right? Their offensive line has gone through the meat grinder injury-wise. They lost their best player at running back. Their star quarterback, who they were supposed to bring on, got injured, and that was a part of it, but also just hasn't been playing well enough and have been through 4 quarterbacks. And yet people are predicting them to face off against the Ravens in the AFC Championship game, and the Jets are the Jets. And honestly, that's why I think it's going to be interesting, the conversation that happens around Rob Saleh in all seriousness, because part of this is, hey, Kevin Stefanski managed to keep 2 hands on the wheel and steer this thing through some pretty murky waters, and then, got Joe Flacco to go out here and go unconscious for a month. So it's a tough scene right now. I hope you guys are okay.
No, we're not. We're not okay. We're never going to be okay. But here's the difference, okay? Kevin Stefanski, Mike, he's still coaching that team. He's running that team. He's running that organization. The problem with the Jets is there are no adults running that. Well, there is. He's 40 years old, and he's their quarterback. He's running that organization, and we didn't want Joe Flacco there. There's no way Rodgers was going to sign Joe Flacco, because then this happens. Flacco goes on a run with that defense. They're good. They go to the playoffs, and everyone forgets about Aaron Rodgers. That's how desperate we are, that we are allowing a 40-year-old quarterback who tore his Achilles 4 plays in, who the Packers didn't want anymore, okay? And we are allowing that man to run our organization. It's driving me nuts, Gojo.
It's tough out here. The worst part, too, was seeing after the Jets-Browns game, watching how happy all of the Jets players were for Joe Flacco, because he got out. Like, he's the one, like, oh, man, he got out. They know what this entails inside here, and they're so happy to see someone make it out of the struggle.
He got out to prison. He crawled through a river of came out clean on the other side.
Right? Joe Flacco just sitting on the beach with Morgan Freeman somewhere.
But Mike, you have to, I know your dad does, you have to love the Flacco story. It's great. Like, it's the Browns, first, just the Browns, the fact that they still have a shot at the 1 seed, all of it is fantastic.
I remember the first game that Joe Flacco came back, they played the Rams, who were starting to begin their sort of run late in the season, where everyone's talking about them now. And I remember I was talking to Mina Kimes about this after, and we're both kind of talking about the Rams portion of it, and we're both kind of like, but Joe Flacco had some throws in that game. Like, it wasn't super pretty. They got after a banged up line a little bit, but Joe Flacco had a couple of throws that were just like the FU throws that only come with being 38 and not supposed to be here. Like, Joe Flacco is going out there and playing with reckless. He doesn't need this. He didn't need this. He was sitting on the couch. He would have been fine for the rest of his life because he hit the lick on that contract back in 2012. He's good. And so he got the call for this, and he said, oh, what the hell? Screw it. And he's playing with that exact kind of freedom, and it's awesome to watch.
Yeah, he's better than 80% of the quarterbacks playing in the NFL right now, and he's better looking than 100% of the men his age, right?
I always said Joe Flacco was very underrated, handsome NFL quarterback. And now Stugatzy's got that little bit of salt and pepper. He does. Him and Kevin Stefanski also look weirdly alike, right?
Yes. Right, yes. Gojo, but what a crazy season it's been, where a couple of weeks ago, Philly and Dallas, that was the game of the year. Then it was Ravens and Niners, game of the year. This week it's Dolphins and Ravens, game of the year. We've had 3 consecutive weeks with a game of the year. I mean, it's incredible.
Which is incredibly hard to do considering how
Yes.
much quarterback injuries happened this year.
I know.
Like, it's been such a weirdly volatile season, but all of the scheduling just hit so right. Like, this Dolphins-Ravens game is going to be a banger this weekend.
Yes.
And honestly, I was going to say that offense. Dolphins defense. Look at those guys humming right now. Vic Fangio, it took a little while, but they really start to get some teeth now.
Yeah, that was the most impressive thing about their win against Dallas. That was not because of their offense. That was all on their defense, you know?
And they're missing a guy who was like a defensive player of the year caliber player coming into the year in Jalen Phillips now. Like Bradley Chubb and those dudes have stepped up. Christian Wilkins has been a beast, but that was to me, you're right, the most impressive part of that. And that had been building, and they were a team, like I looked up like 3 weeks ago, I was like, oh, the Dolphins are top 5 in sacks this year. You would have had no idea, because that's not necessarily what you think of when you think of that team and the laser light show on offense and Mike McDaniel and all his funny quotes. But defensively, that's the biggest difference for them right now. So still a little vulnerable against the run, but I mean, everyone's going to have that problem playing against the Ravens. So this game's going to be awesome.
You like the Dolphins?
I wouldn't like to beat the Ravens. No, I wouldn't pick them to beat the Ravens. I like this Dolphins team in general. Like, again, especially they're another one. That offensive line has just been kind of a moving constant cycle of different guys going through there. And it's snake bitten them against certain teams. Like when you look against like the Eagles, the Bills, teams that have front fours that can really get after you, that got some ass to them in the middle. You mess up the communication in there. You got guys that are backups that have been forced to play starting roles in different positions. Every once in a while, that's going to get you, but more often than not, especially when you've got Tyreek Hill healthy, that offense has been able to overcome a lot of that in a way that's super impressive. But we saw it last week with that Baltimore Ravens defense against San Francisco. They're just kind of operating on a different level right now. And unless you can just down in and down out, ram it down their throats up the middle on defense, there's not a lot you can do to give them problems when they're fully healthy. Like, hopefully everything is all right with Kyle Hamilton after that last game. I didn't see what the full status was, but he seemed like he was fine for the most part. But that defense is just playing at a different level right now.
We'll get to the Chiefs here in just a second. We'll get you out of here in a couple of minutes. Gojo and Golic, 8 to 10 a.m., DraftKings Network. You can check them out there. Also, wherever you get your podcast. Kansas City Chiefs. I told Travis Kelce, I told Jason Kelce a couple of weeks ago, okay? And I was trying to be a good friend, that this was going to happen. And it's happening. That fans were going to start getting on them and their teammates and their focus. Jalen Hurts with Jason Kelce. I don't care what Jalen Hurts said. That was directed at Jason Kelce. Okay. I don't care how many times he apologizes that thing away. He was speaking directly to Jason Kelce. Okay. And now it's happening with Travis Kelce in Kansas City. And you guys will be delighted because we have done so many shows together. Did you see, either of you who jumped into the fray on blaming the Chiefs season on Taylor Swift? Have you seen it?
No.
Skip Bayless.
No.
That makes it official.
It's official now, right?
It makes it official.
Oh, my God. If anyone was going to take the bait, it was going to be Skip. Ratings are down right now versus Stephen A. Smith. Let's go ahead and get it back.
I told them it was coming, man.
Yeah, it's Stugotz. You're always right. The timing may not always be there, but the train is always going to come eventually. So and that would, to me, Stugotz, if we're giving everyone their flowers right now for Joe Flacco, that was some of your finest work ever. Watching you just jujitsu your way around that take, and I'm not saying this. I'm your friend. I care about you. People are saying this. They're going to teach that in sports media classes in a decade.
Chris Cody said, I didn't know you had that move.
Yeah. That was the Shaq
totally
move. I'm sorry. I wasn't familiar with your game.
I worked on my curve during the offseason.
It was unbelievable. Oh, just always ready for it. So yeah, now we're here. And like, again, it's all wrong, and I don't believe, like, none of us believe there's any validity to that. No. But you're absolutely right in that it was always going to be the place that people were going to go, because there is nothing sports fans love more than blaming women who have no actual effect on the outcome of a game.
And the sports media. Listen, if there's a lazy place to go, the sports media and sports fans will all arrive there at roughly the same time.
We are like a very path of least resistance crowd, right? Like, over here's like work, deep analysis, film study, EPA per play, and on the other side is who is the star player dating at this moment, and how can we make this about them? And that is the path that sports media and their fans choose 9 out of 10 times.
I was about to take Florida State plus 20 against Georgia, and had they not covered, I would have ripped somebody on Florida State, not knowing the entire team's not showing up. I mean, lazy. I stink. What's going on with the Chiefs?
It's a little bit of everything with them right now.
I thought he was going to say Taylor Swift. I thought he was going to say Taylor Swift.
I thought he was.
I thought he was going to say
the thing is, Mikey, I can't even joke about it. I'm a card-carrying Swiftie right now. I got to go out here and carry the banner for our girl. So I'm not going to step. Swifties, I know it's not her fault. You know it's not her fault. We will find, and you know what it is? Swifties will find the problem. Like, they've been around. There's been plenty of Swiftie football fans, but the diehards who came from the deep corners of her internet, they're going to be in here with the Chiefs solution soon. They're not going to let Taylor's boyfriend go out like this season. They're going to have them ready for the playoffs. A detailed game plan is going to be sent to Andy Reid from people at like TaylorSwift.com or the Reddit or something. And they're going to get the Chiefs right because they have that kind of power and capability. As far as what they have to get right, Stugotz, like, I don't. The biggest glaring thing to me was we had always had, like, we knew the receiver room was struggling there. Rashee Rice has gotten better now. Travis Kelce is certainly, like, at 34, not as good as he used to be, still very good. The offensive line was the thing that we had just kind of had as the throwaway. Like, oh, they've got this really good young interior of their offensive line. You can trust that group up front. We saw them run the ball a lot more, especially from under center, especially from multi-tight end looks last season. And now this year on the edges, they've had some injuries. They've got a backup in at left tackle. And you just look over the course of a game, Pat doesn't trust the edges right now. And it's hard to blame him given how some of the play has looked for them. And so how, Andy Reid and Matt Nagy go about overcoming that down the stretch here is going to be really important because you've got to now, and we saw it affect them late in the game. Like, Travis Kelce still is going to be the go-to target for Pat Mahomes, but they had to spend so much time and effort having him try and chip or help on guys on the way out. And it kind of took him out of the flow of the routes and took him out of the early options that Mahomes can go to when things go wrong. So I kind of think, as I look at, if there was one thing I was going to say, the foundation up front we thought had been reset after that Super Bowl. We saw Pat get harassed by the Buccaneers. And this is really the first time since then where I've looked and felt like that's been a little bit compromised again.
Gojo, just quickly here on the college games this weekend. I asked Lucy this question. I will ask you the same question. Has everyone in Tallahassee lost their mind since the committee did not put them in the playoffs?
Oh yeah, no, it's not. Like, I haven't heard them talk about anything else coming from down there. Every day I open up .com, there's another headline about someone at Florida State talking about what could have or should have been.
It's insane, right? Get over it.
I feel bad for them, but at some point, like, especially if you're the players and the coaches, you got to turn the page. Like, you can't keep carpet on this.
You have to. Alabama, Michigan, your thoughts. Let's just both games quickly. Give us your thoughts. 30 seconds on each game. Alabama, Michigan.
I'm taking Alabama in this one. I think for Michigan, I'm worried. We talked a lot about offensive line with the Chiefs. Worried about some of the stuff that showed up, especially against Penn State in that game and how Michigan had to adjust. And I don't know if you're going to be afforded the ability to just grind it out on the ground with an Alabama offense that showed some big playability since the South Florida game. So I'll go with the Tide. Those two defensive ends could be a big, big problem for Michigan.
All right, Texas, Washington.
Laser light show. I'm probably going to lean Washington. I think they're a dog in this game. I like UW in the points. Both really built similarly. I think the one place you can say Texas is a big advantage is on the defensive line right now. Big, strong, incredibly productive guys. Devondre Sweat, Byron Murphy, the names that we know at this point. But I think offensively for Washington, their offensive line showed up in a big way. And if they get their defense to play like they did against Oregon in that Pac-12 championship game, and really both Oregon matchups, they're capable of slowing down Texas enough to get this thing done.
All right, Mikey A is upset with me. I didn't ask you about Detroit and Dallas Saturday night. He is. I know he is. Yeah, Mikey, you wrote it to me. You said Detroit, Dallas, ? Or you wanted to ask it? What
it's called producing. There? I'm giving you some stuff. That's all.
I know, but I was going and, I moved past Sunday. I was already on to Monday here. And now I got to go back to Saturday. I mean, all right, Detroit, Dallas.
Detroit, Dallas.
Mike, it's at Dallas. I spoke to your dad about this. I do believe there is something to Dallas where they play so much better in that controlled environment at home than they do on the road. Here's the thing. Detroit also plays in that same environment, right?
I was going to say, like, they're both teams that clearly fare better indoors. I do think a lot of Dallas's road record has more to do with the teams that they have played and how good they are on the road.
like home road splits to me, like there's only so much validity I'm going to give them, but I'd probably lean Dallas on this one. Detroit's been a different team though. When their offensive line got healthy down the back half of the season, I think that matters as much as anything when Jared Goff's your quarterback. They've been able to build the wall in front of him and keep it going, but I still have some worries about that Detroit defense.
We started a new feature here on God Bless Football if the season ended today, okay? And if the season did end today, listen to this matchup. Rams at Lions.
Give me the Rams.
But it's a game for everything.
They're
everything.
They're incredible. Wow. Anyone else just get chills?
Stafford.
Stafford's going to throw that game for Detroit.
He'll finally win a playoff game in Detroit. I mean.